Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. The Appalachian Artisan Center in Hindman was hit hard by the recent flood. Now staff are working hard to recover whatever they can while getting rid of the things that were ruined. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox has more on what was lost at the Artisan Center and how they plan to build back.
Floodwater broke through windows at the Appalachian Artisan Center, wrecking everything in its path.
This was the actual water line inside and here and here. And yeah, it busted out the windows.
The Appalachian Artisan Center was comprised of artwork of all kinds, from instruments to jewelry. A lot of tools ended up ruined.
All of this stuff that's in the front here and on that side was back there, all piled up. And the weight of all the equipment, it was like making the floor buckle.
The Artisan Center partners with Hickory Hill Recovery to create a recovery program where clients can learn how to build instruments. Jeremy Haney is a part of that program and now is devastated that a lot of their hard work was destroyed.
I think it gave me something to look forward to as far as just getting outside of recovery a little bit and putting my mind into something constructive and productive.
Now Teresa says they plan to move their Lutherie school because the flood was so destructive.
As you can see, the floors are coming up all the way through, and that, I don't even know, so.
Even with all of the damage, Teresa says the Appalachian Artisan Center will return.
All these windows were gone. I love this though, because we will be back. And everything, that's one thing. We are going to make a comeback. It's just going to, like everything else and everyone else, it's just going to take a while and the memory is not going to fade.
Knocked down but coming back better than ever. In Hyman, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
I loved what was written on that window. Music heals and God will make a way. Staff at the Appalachian Artisan Center say they lost at least $1.5 million worth of property in the flood, and they still have not gone through all of the damage. FEMA currently has two types of facilities operating in eastern Kentucky. Disaster recovery centers have representatives from FEMA, the U.S. Small Business Administration, and agencies from the Commonwealth to help survivors with applications, questions, low-interest disaster loans, and assistance from the Commonwealth. Mobile registration facilities have disaster survivor assistance teams on site to assist with FEMA applications and information about other resources. Now, mobile registration facilities do not have the capability to assist with eligibility appeals. Survivors should go to a disaster recovery center for that help. There are several of these located across the mountains. We have information about where you can find both on our website. Donations given to flood victims are being made available to hundreds of families each day. ARH has set up a one-stop shop at the old J.C. Penney building here in Hazard, not far from the TV station. People have been lining up waiting to get inside the former store each day, where they can receive a variety of different kinds of supplies and assistance to get them through this disaster. Donations are still needed. Officials say they have plenty of water for now, and now the needs are shifting more to things like mops and brooms and cleaning supplies. Officials say they also believe they have enough clothing. We'll have more from the old J.C. Penney at 6. Now, do you need help cleaning up? Well, the Crisis Cleanup Hotline is one service that connects volunteers from local relief organizations, community groups, and faith communities to folks seeking help. Volunteers can help with drywall, flooring, and appliance removal, fallen trees, and mold mitigation. Services are free, but will only be available until August 19th. To request assistance from them, you can contact the Crisis Cleanup Hotline at 606-268-0896.
Well, one of the nicest days we've seen in a long time out there today. Plenty of sunshine, low humidity, and comfortable temperatures. And if you haven't gotten a chance to go out and enjoy it today, you've got your chance tomorrow. Outside right now, some high clouds trying to sneak in to our camera at Buffalo Mountain in Perry County, but so far so good. How about middle and upper 70s outside right now? Yeah, that feels nice. We see blue sky with just a few fair weather clouds. It's also in the upper 70s out at Slade as well. At least the closest station there at Irvin's at 78. Many of us in the middle and upper 70s right now. A few 80s sticking around. 80 in Manchester, Ashland, over toward Monticello right now. Even cooler. How about Wise at 70? That feels nice. Wind speeds, well, they're out of the north, and most of us light, but a few of us, especially over toward the lakes, getting a little bit on the gusty side. I use that term rather generously, but in any case, at 10 to 15 miles per hour shouldn't be anything too crazy. All clean on Pinpoint Doppler. You got to go up into parts of Illinois before you run into any rain, and it's going to have a tough time heading in our direction as we head into tonight. So as we head into tonight, middle and upper 50s for those overnight lows under mostly clear skies. The very latest on the nice weather ahead is coming up in just a bit. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. The nation's top public health agency has relaxed its COVID-19 guidelines. That means big changes, especially as children prepare to head back to school. CBS's Dan Lieberman has more on what this means for you and your family.
The CDC's new guidelines mark a significant change from protocols that have kept Americans on edge for 2.5 years of the pandemic. Among its new recommendations, 6 feet of social distancing is no longer recommended. Also, people exposed to the virus no longer have to quarantine at home, but should wear masks for 10 days and test for the virus on day 5. But the guidelines around masking indoors, especially where community COVID levels are high, remain the same.
We're in a different place now with boosters, with antivirals, with monoclonal antibodies. I mean, things are much different in how we can keep people out of the hospital. Vaccinated plus an infection, hybrid immunity is very strong. And I finally see that the CDC is recognizing that.
And big changes for kids at schools across the country this fall. Masks will be optional in most districts, with some of the largest scaling back or eliminating COVID testing requirements. The American Federation of Teachers said it welcomes the CDC's new guidance. Still, the U.S. is recording more than 100,000 cases and some 500 deaths a day.
With what the tools we have, the way we keep updating them, the way we keep building better treatments, I am confident that we're going to be able to stay ahead of this virus.
The CDC estimates between vaccines and prior infections, around 95% of Americans over the age of 16 currently have some level of protection. Dan Lieberman, CBS News, New York.
The CDC still recommends you stay away from large gatherings and consider wearing a mask indoors in public places if you live in a community currently experiencing a large uptick in cases. Almost all of eastern Kentucky is still in the red zone. More than a quarter of children hospitalized with COVID-19 have lingering symptoms for months. A new study Friday in the journal Pediatrics looked at 358 children affected by COVID-19 and a rare but dangerous complication of COVID known as MIS-C. Researchers found that nearly 30% of those kids are still showing symptoms at least 2 months later. The most common symptoms were fatigue and shortness of breath. The Food and Drug Administration recommends people take 3 at-home tests to confirm negative COVID-19 results. Thursday, the agency issued new safety guidelines for COVID-19 antigen tests. It said a negative COVID test should be followed by another one. The FDA says if the second test is also negative, but you still have concerns about the result, then take a third test 48 hours later. The agency added, at that point, you can also consider getting molecular-based tests through a lab or calling your healthcare provider. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, documents related to the FBI's search of former President Trump's Florida home are unsealed. The latest after the break.
Plus, we haven't seen lows this cool in a while. The latest on how long Mother Nature is giving out some free air conditioning coming right up.